Coming up on the Gridiron Report. With the 2012 Bombers season in the books, we take a look back at all the finest moments this season had to offer. Bombers wide receiver and Gridiron Report Player of the Year, Joe Ingrao, will join me live in studio to talk about his historic season on the South Hill. But that's not all. I sat down with 5 Bombers seniors earlier in the week to hear their perspective on this 6-4 campaign. And we bring you the top 10 plays from the 2012 season. It's the Gridiron Report Year in Review show, and it starts right now. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Gridiron Report. It's the final episode of the 2012 season and we have a very special show for you today. I'm your host Jason Rickel, and joining me tonight is Bombers Live play-by-play commentator Dylan Hornblum. Dylan, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me on the program, Jay. It's always a pleasure.
Dylan, let's get right into it. The Bombers began the 2012 season on the road at Moravian, looking to get an early season out-of-conference win against the Greyhounds. They come into this one having much success on their opening games of the seasons. Coach Welch has always had success. You see here early on, the Bombers come into this game. They recorded 5 sacks. Tom Scanlon had an interception. The defense had 5 sacks. Like I just said, 24-0 victory over the Greyhounds. Bombers offense outgained Moravian 456 to 148 and collected 338 rushing yards, led by Clay Ardoin's 206 yards and 1 touchdown. And then, Dylan, the Bombers welcomed in Union to Butterfield Stadium, and it was Joe Ingrao and Phil Newman time.
Jay, this was definitely one of the most exciting games I have ever seen at Butterfield Stadium. After this game, which I had the pleasure of calling, I thought there's no way we're going to get a more exciting game this season. By far the game of the year. Little did I know that they would go on to give me 3 or 4 more heart attacks throughout the year, Jay. But like you said, Newman looked great, and this was the first time we got to see him at Butterfield Stadium in front of a home crowd while the weather was still nice. They came out to shine, and they really played well despite being down early.
Phil Newman led them to a nice comeback, 21-7 at one point late in the 4th.
He hit Michael Moon there late, and this was the most points they put up so late in a game ever, Jay. Never came back from such a big deficit so late. Then they got to overtime, and this happened.
Joe Ingrao catches the touchdown in overtime for the victory, and the 2-0 Bombers win. They traveled to Frostburg, Maryland for their first E8 matchup of the season. The Bobcats built a 7-3 lead with 10 seconds to play in the first half, but Phil Newman found Joe Ingrao for a 52-yard touchdown with 1 second left to play, and the Bombers never trailed again. Clay Ardoin ran for 2 touchdowns, and Jarrett Naden rushed for another as the Bombers defeated the Bobcats 40-21, 3-0 on the year. And sitting at 3-0 on the young season, the Bombers came back home for a matchup with the Utica Pioneers. The Bombers came out on fire, building a 21-0 lead on 2 touchdown passes by Phil Newman. Josh Oliver scored his first collegiate touchdown out of the Wildcat, and the route was on. Oliver added a 2nd touchdown later on, and Jarrett Naden rushed for a score as well as the Bombers take down the Pioneers 40-22, 4-0 on the year. And Dylan, the Bombers had some trouble scoring points last season, but through the first 4 games of 2012, they averaged 32 points a game.
I was stunned by that number, Jay. I really didn't expect this offense to come out firing so strong, so fast, but they did. And that wasn't the only thing about the early goings that really surprised me. There was a lot more.
What impressed you most about the 4-0 start? You just mentioned how impressive the points per game were. Is it that? Is it something else? The defense playing very well?
What impressed me most, Jay, honestly, about the 4-0 start was the 4-0 start itself, only because I didn't expect it. Yeah, sure, the Bombers were taking on teams that they were expected to beat, but like Frostburg and Union, but those teams were the games that they barely squeaked out. Then they came out and blew out Moravian, who's an okay team, but I was really shocked when it came to the win over Utica. Did not expect such a big win. I thought that was going to set the tone for the season.
All right, Dylan, let's take a look at the next set of games. The Bombers, as we mentioned, 4-0 on the young season, looking to move to 5-0. And here they traveled to Alfred for a matchup with the Saxons. After a scoreless first quarter, the Saxons used a wide receiver pass to get on the board first and eventually took a 21-0 lead. The Bombers answered with this Phil Newman touchdown pass to Michael Moon, but it would not be enough. Saxons win this one 31-7. After suffering their first loss of the year, Dylan, the Bombers and the Buffalo State Bengals battled down to the wire at Butterfield.
Yeah, this was an epic game. Buffalo State coming into the Empire 8, trying to set a tone. They already beat Wisconsin Whitewater earlier in the season, who was ranked #1 in the nation, which was a huge upset. So obviously there was a lot of hype around the Bengals. And I think the Bombers came out playing a little scared. They expected to win this one because, to be honest, Buff State hadn't shown much outside of that first win against Wisconsin Whitewater.
Dylan, the Bombers have to feel like they let one slip here.
And we've talked to players since the season has ended. They've said almost every game that they lost, they felt like they could have won, and this one falls right under that category as Del Moro had a great game, got a great block from Kruger there, and the Bombers looking to claw their way back into it late, but they turned it over in the fourth quarter there and never got it back.
Next up for Ithaca was St. John Fisher. The Bombers were held scoreless for the first half and found themselves down 14-0. But Phil Newman found Joe Ingrayo for a 27-yard touchdown in the third quarter to get IC on the board. The Bombers kicked a field goal, then took the lead on a Clay Ardoin touchdown run. But Cody Miller scampered for a 34-yard score with 4 minutes left, and the Cardinals went on to win this one 21-17. So, Dylan, after 4 straight wins, the Bombers dropped 3 in a row in conference.
And boy, was that a heartbreaker for this Bombers team, who came out so fired up after those first 4 wins of the year. And honestly, Jay, right when I was starting to get on the bandwagon, that's when they ran into this tough Alfred team, and they just couldn't do anything. They caught Chuck Beckwith at a time when he was just eating defenses alive, and they couldn't stop the run during this whole span, which I think was the main problem for the Bombers team. But they also had a banged-up offensive line, which doesn't help things. Clay Ardoin still found enough time, enough room to make some plays happen, but Newman didn't have a lot of time to pass, and when they can't pass, they couldn't run the ball so well because play action wasn't working.
What changed in this losing streak? Why were they not able to pick up one of the victories?
Well, Jay, honestly, I don't really know, because it looked like they came out with the exact same team minus a few injuries that they had. Obviously, the linebacker core did get banged up early on in the year, but I didn't see much of a difference except for the fact that they just ran into a streak of bad luck and, like I said, had trouble stopping the run, and they caught some teams who were playing pretty well at the time. But like we mentioned, the players on the team say that if we had gone back to this game, they are very confident that they could have come out on top in most of the games.
Dylan and I have to take a short break, but coming up on the Gridiron Report, we break down the final 3 games of the Bombers season, including a Cortica Jug thriller. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Gridiron Report. Jason Rickel alongside Dylan Hornblum. And Dylan, let's jump right into it. The Bombers at this point sitting at 4-3 on the season, but they have a big game with Salisbury. And you see it here. 7th-ranked Salisbury comes in, and the Bombers pull up one of the biggest upsets in school history.
Well, Jay, when I said I thought the Union game was going to be the game of the year, I was right up until this point when the Bombers just came out and absolutely shocked the football. Well, I won't say shocked. It wasn't the biggest surprise of the year, but it was absolutely a huge win for the Bombers, who came out and defeated this after 3 big losses, too, Jay. We were all ready to get off the bandwagon, and then, wait a minute, I had the toe back on. I was able to pull myself back up after this big win. Obviously, Salisbury made it a game, despite the Bombers going up early 14-0, but the poise that Phil Newman showed when he hit Joe Ingrayo here for this game-winning touchdown catch, man, the crowd went nuts, too. It was pretty awesome to be part of.
Sitting at 5-3, the Bombers had a chance to clinch a winning season against the Hartwick Hawks. The Ithaca defense came up huge, intercepting 2 different Hawks quarterbacks a total of 6 times. Brian Garvey had 3 interceptions, tying the school record for a single game. Jared Pruger, Clay Ardoin, and Joe Ingrayo all had touchdowns, and the Bombers clinched a winning season with a 28-7 victory over the Hawks. You see Garvey's interception right here. That led to a battle with rival Cortland State in the 54th Cortica Jug. The Bombers came out strong again thanks to a Clay Ardoin 50-yard touchdown run. The Red Dragons answered back with 2 Mike DeBoll field goals and a 9-yard touchdown pass to Mike Humphrey to take a 13-10 lead. Chris Rose connected with Cordell McKenna 7 times in this one, the last leading to a 3rd DeBoll field goal. The Bombers were then stopped short on a 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. Looked like Clay Ardoin had a hole but could not get through, and Cortland prevailed 16-10. Dylan, what a tough way to end the season for the Bombers.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say the toughest way to end a season for the Bombers, Jay. Just absolutely heartbreaking for all the Bombers, their fans, everyone part of the program. But boy, did they give it a heck of a fight there in that last game.
What are your final thoughts on the 2012 season? You could say it was a good season, you could say it was a bad season. What do you think so far?
Well, Jay, in my reflections on the season so far, and we had the opportunity to talk to coaches and players, And like many of them, I was hungry for more Bombers football. I thought this team was playing phenomenal, especially going into the end of the season with the win over Salisbury, the win over Hartwick. They were looking so good. They come out and play great against Cortland, who was ranked in just a very good football program. And I wished I could have seen them in a bowl game. But let's not forget, although we are losing some of our favorite Bombers that won't be on the show anymore, like Joe Ingrao and Will Carter, some of our favorite guys, there's a lot to look forward to next season with Phil Newman and a lot of guys coming back.
Dylan, thanks a lot for joining us.
My pleasure.
Well, the season might have ended, but the accolades are just starting to roll in. 8 Ithaca football players were selected to all Empire 8 teams, including 3 selected to the first team. Joe Ingrao was a first-team pick at wide receiver after leading the Bombers with 71 catches and 942 receiving yards. Ingrao hauled in 7 touchdowns and went over the century mark in receiving yards 4 times this season. He finishes his Bomber career ranked 3rd all-time in receptions with 136 and 2nd in receiving yardage with 1,863. It was the 2nd All-Empire 8 selection for Ingrao. Sophomore Sam Carney was selected first-team Empire 8 honors as a return specialist after leading the conference in punt return yards. Carney averaged 14.3 yards per return and had a season-best 60-yard return in the Bombers' 21-14 win over Salisbury in October. Also receiving first-team recognition was place kicker Garrett Nicholson. Nicholson was a perfect 28 for 28 on extra points this season and was 6 of 9 on field goals for the Bombers in his first season as a starter. 3 Bombers made second-team All-E8 led by running back Clay Arduin. The 2012 Bomber football team was full of seniors who contributed day in and day out for this team. Their impact reached well beyond the football field, and they will certainly go down as one of the best classes in Bomber history. I had a chance to sit down earlier this week with 5 of those seniors and discuss their time on the South Hill. Well, this might be a tough question, but thinking back, what are you most proud of? And it could be leaving the program in better hands or mentoring some of the younger players. What do you guys think?
Well, for me, it would be being able to play the season, because when the accident happened, there was a lot of people who was just like, completely threw me out of the contentions of being able to play. And then when I got elected captain, and I was like, these players elected me to be captain, that motivated me even more to just, take my physical therapy one day at a time and just push forward and try to be there. And I was just, extremely proud of the moment when I was able to start the first game of the season. And it was just a great feeling to have, just to be able to push through and be a lead by example for a lot of players on the team. And a lot of the players who, are going through some injuries or some tweaks in their bodies, you just know that if you keep pushing forward, that you'll get through it,
I think the biggest thing for me to take out of my whole career is how to handle adversity. There's going to be challenges in life where you don't think that you can get through them, and you're going to want to quit. But it's the will and the drive inside of you that's going to get you past that. And I think I was able to, throughout my career, to come back my senior season and have the success that I had. It meant a lot to me, and I feel like I set an example for the younger guys to never give up and, to keep pursuing your goals.
I'd say for me, the biggest thing is just being able to play 4 years of college football. You realize it now, when we're not playing. I love playing football. It's the most fun thing to do. As a program, what does it mean to you to be a part of it forever? You're always going to be a part of it. You're a Bomber for life now.
It's just, like you said, to be a part of that tradition is just something that you wouldn't trade for anything in the world. You're part of something great. You're part of a family of people that have dedicated their lives to and a great deal of time to being what we are today, to being a Bomber. And, no one can take that away from you.
Yeah, it's something that we can hang our hats on, this game's tough, especially at this level. For it to be able to play 4 years of college football after high school, it's tough for anybody. And just to make it through and to be with your brothers and with the alumni, they're always watching, and we're always going to be following the Bombers, seeing how they're doing. So that's just a great tradition that is here at Ithaca.
Yeah, it's always nice to see when, we have practices on Fridays and you see some of the old traditional Bombers come back, from the 50s or the 70s and stuff. And they always say something, and it's just now we're part of that elite group that made it through the 4 years here, and now we get to be able to go spread what we learned here and, you know, take our experiences to the rest of the things that we're going to do going forward.
Coming up on the Gridiron Report, Player of the Year Joe Ingrayo joins us live in studio. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back to the Gridiron Report. We are now joined by first-team All-Empire 8 receiver Joe Ingrayo. Joe, how does that sound? First-team All-Empire 8.
You know, it sounds good. It's something I kind of worked for pretty hard. So, you know, I'm happy. It's an achievement, a personal achievement, but, you know, it's good stuff.
You had such a special year receiving. You almost recorded the second 1,000-yard receiving season in Ithaca history. You just missed it by 60 yards. But how does it feel to go out on such a high note? I know you mentioned personal goals and you're more invested in the team, but it has to feel good.
Oh, yeah, it feels great, you know. I didn't know it was that close. It's kind of not that great. But, you know, it feels good. I'm happy that, you know, whatever we could do to contribute to the team. And, you know, if that helped us go win one more game, 2 more games here and there, then, you know, I'm all for it. You know, whatever I got to do.
You finished 6-4 on the year. Are you satisfied with how your team played this year?
You know what? It's more about, for me, it's not the records or the personal achievements. It's, you know, kind of the bonds you make and stuff like that, and you know, the whole experience overall. And I couldn't have asked for anything better than this. No matter where I went, you know, my heart's in Ithaca, and it's just been a great ride overall.
I want you to describe the feeling you had after the Cortica game. I know it's not the best one, but when you saw Clay get stopped short, what was going through your head?
You know, a lot of things. It's tough. You know, that's what you dream about right there. You got, you know, a great chance to win the game. You know, complete confidence in Clay. He's having a great year, and you know, there was nothing you could do there. You know, that happens. You get shut down, and you know, it's just how you handle adversity. You know, we didn't know really what was going to happen from there, but you know, it's never fun seeing someone else jump around the field that doesn't have an Ithaca jersey on.
Speaking of Cortica, take us through your first Cortica experience. Such a big crowd and such a big game.
Oh yeah, I mean, my first Cortica experience was something. I didn't even know what I was doing out there. I felt just like I was just running around, no clue what was going on, like a kid amongst men. And I actually remember getting in the huddle, and Grassdorf, the quarterback at the time, looks at me, and I think he just knew that I had no idea what I was doing. He just goes, "Joe," he's like, "You got to post." And I'm like, "All right, I just want to go out there, run a post." You know, don't even know the play, but you know, it was an experience to say the least.
What will you remember most about your time on the South Hill?
Oh man, probably exactly that, the South Hill. You know, I got my best friends, a big group of kids. You know, the other GridiRoos, what we call them, and you know, they all live on the South Hill, and you know, that is what defines my football career with these guys. You know, this is my family. You know, and I spent all my time with those kids, blood, sweat, tears. You know, but those are my brothers.
What's your proudest moment as an Ithaca Bomber?
You know, that's a tough one, but I'm gonna have to say beating Salisbury this year. You know, you lose a couple straight against some good teams, and for us, that's tough. But you come back, and the number 7 team in the country comes to your stadium, and you just hit them in the mouth, and you don't care. We didn't care. We knew we were gonna beat them. We knew we had a good shot, and you know, we just proved it.
Joe, thanks for coming on, and congratulations on being the Gridiron Report Player of the Year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, you saw Joe in the senior interview earlier, but for the full interview, make sure you like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter at The Gridiron Report. Well, it's now time to reveal our top 10 plays from the 2012 Ithaca Bombers season. We have 10 great ones in store for you right now, and I bet you Mr. Ingrayo will be several of these plays. He had numerous highlights on this year. Coming in at number 10, we go back to the Moravian game where Phil Newman play action, and I just mentioned it. He finds Joe Ingrayo wide open in the back of the end zone for a 24-yard score. At number 9, Bengals quarterback Ryan Lahotsky. He drops back to pass, but Skylar Griffenberg steps in front and picks it off. His first career interception and the Bombers went on to beat Buffalo State at number 8. Frostburg State, I present to you Clay Ardoin. Clay breaks free on the left side and scampers all the way to pay dirt for the 49-yard touchdown, shaking defenders as he goes. Coming in at number 7, Bombers safety Josh Leamer intercepts this pass in Alfred and collects his 9th career interception. Bombers, however, would lose this one 31-7. At number 6, all we do is Ardo win no matter what. Clay once again breaks free on the left side, this time for a 50-yard touchdown against Cortland State. At number 5, how about the freshman Josh Oliver? Oliver scored 2 touchdowns against Utica out of the Wildcat formation in the Bombers' 40-22 win over the Pioneers. He found pay dirt a 3rd time, but that was called back by a penalty. Coming in at number 4, it's Newman to Ingrao one more time. The dynamic duo on this one was a game winner as Ingrao and the Bombers take down number 7th ranked Salisbury. He flies past the defense, and that ends Salisbury's perfect run in the E8. At number 3, check out this Joe Ingrao catch. He pins it to the back of his leg as he's going down, an unbelievable catch. It's hard to find 2 plays better than this, but we think we did. Take another look at this one. At number 2, the key number to remember in this play right here is 3. 3 interceptions for Brian Garvey against the Hartwick Hawks. One of his picks went for a touchdown, and Garvey tied a school record in this one for interceptions in a single game. The Bombers as a team collected 6 interceptions, first time they've done that since 1990. They go on to win 28-7 over the Hawks, but the number 1 play of the 2012 season.
Newman from the 5-yard line, looking to pass right away. He wants Ingrao, and there's the touchdown. Did he get a foot in? Yes, he did.
Joe Ingrao wins it in overtime against the Union Dutchman, and those were your 2012 top 10 plays of the year. The Bombers lose several key seniors next season to graduation, but there is a lot of talent coming back. Key returners include quarterback Phil Newman and linebacker Jake Santora. With more in the rising senior class, here's Nick Rojas.
With the 2012 season officially in the books, the next group of Bomber seniors look to flip the page and take control as the team looks forward to the 2013 season. The work for next year starts now.
I mean, for me personally, I take a week off and then I get back at it.
We'll be doing running drills all winter like we did the past winter, and I think a big thing is just getting stronger, getting faster, and just doing everything you can to make yourself better for the next season.
The weight of being a senior leader for a storied program such as Ithaca College is not lost on the rising class.
It's unbelievable. I can't believe we're already seniors, and it's time to lead, and it's time to really take this team up another notch. We really think we can build off the momentum we built this year, and we're all extremely excited for our senior season.
It's definitely something special, definitely a little scary, but I think that, myself and everyone else, offense and defense, will all be able to step up, and the kids that were sophomores are now juniors, they're going to step up as well.
After finding themselves above 500 for the first time since 2010, there's no mistaking now what the big goal is for 2013.
The biggest goal for me will be the team goal, and that's to ultimately win a national championship. That's my goal, and that's our team's goal.
The biggest goal for me personally would be win a national championship with the team, like Phil said earlier.
I'm really, the number 1 thing that I just keep thinking about is I want to be in the playoffs. I want to be in the dance, and I know if our team would get in the playoffs, our goal is every year at Ithaca is to win a national championship, and if we get to the playoffs, I know we can make something happen and make a run.
I want perfection, to be honest. I want perfection. I want an undefeated season. I want a national championship. I know that this program can do that. I know the players that we have on this team, and I'm not going to be sitting at the end of next season saying there's 4 games there where I regret one or 2 plays that could have been difference where we could have won. So, we need some special things this year. I want shutouts on defense. I want offense scoring 42 points. I know we have the coaches. I know we have the players and the ability and the drive to be there. So that's what I want.
For the Gridiron Report, I'm Nick Rojas.
Thanks a lot, Nick. Well, we mentioned some of the seniors that are being lost, Joe Ingrao, Clay Ardoin, a lot of them. But there is a bright future ahead for the Bomber football team, with several key players returning and Coach Welch taking his place back atop the throne. The Bombers have a chance to bring an E8 championship back to IC. Well, that's all the time we have here on the Gridiron Report. thank you for watching us all season long and always supporting the Gridiron Report. It was a pleasure bringing you all the Bomber football news this season. A couple of special thank yous to pass along before we go. Thank you to our producers Alex Haubenstock and Aaron Dunphy. Without you two, this show would not have been possible. Also, a special thank you to Alex Cartini, Jared Bissett, and the rest of our crew, and the ICTV sports director, Sean Wagner. With that, we close the book on the 2012 season and open up a new chapter for 2013. Good night, everyone, and thanks again for tuning in.